What's going on, everybody? Thank you all for joining me today. If you haven't already, please make sure you hit the like button because that's the most important thing you can do for me on this channel. What it does is that helps make sure that those who are subscribed to the channel will indeed get their notifications, and it also helps to push this video through the YouTube algorithm as well. Secondly, if you're new to the channel, or maybe you've been ghost watching this channel for quite some time now, please do me a favor and do yourself a favor by hitting the subscribe button as well as the bell notification next to the subscribe button so you can be notified whenever I release a new video. And lastly, please make sure that you share this video out on your social media platforms to your family and friends to inform them on this new information. And yes, that does help to give me a slight boost in the YouTube algorithm as well. And with the introduction out of the way, let's get into today's news. And today we are headed back to the People's Republic of Chicago to discuss the Democratic National Convention. But I don't want to discuss it from the standpoint of those who hit the stage to speak on Trump, because they're definitely not speaking on policies. The DNC is pretty much a Trump roast fest. But what I do want to do is speak to what a CNN pundit had to say, in which he completely destroyed and annihilated the Biden-Harris administration with a very simple fact. And I can't even just say the Biden administration. He destroyed the entire Democratic Party. And that's enough of me introing it. You know what? I just want to play it. Let's just get into this right now and let's hear what he has to say. I forget what his name is. I know his last name is Jennings, but some of you probably will know who he is as soon as he begins talking. Let's get into this clip right here.
In all these speeches, as good as they were, is that she's in the White House right now. Democrats have controlled the White House for 12 of the last 16 years. And for all of the talk about division and the problems in the country and people are hurting, Democrats have mostly controlled this country. Trump had it for 4. The Obamas and Biden had it for the rest of the time. And somehow, it's still all Trump's fault, and somehow she hasn't been at the center of it. So to me, that's still the glaring hole in this campaign that hasn't yet been solved at the convention. How do you explain all of the problems that will be solved by the person who is currently in there for the last 3.5 years, who is supposed to already be working on solving it?
That is such a true statement. 12 out of the last 16 years, Democrats have controlled the country, yet they're constantly talking about how divided it is, how it's broken, and somehow the last 16 years all fall on Donald Trump if you let the Democrats tell it, despite the fact that they've been running the country 12 out of the last 16 years. And some way, somehow, Kamala Harris is excluded from that, which she shouldn't be, and she isn't. And we're going to get into that in a moment. But another fact that I want to hit you guys with, a few facts actually. Since Jimmy Carter, I believe it is, every Democrat that has been in office as president of the United States has started off the first 2 years of their presidency with a trifecta, meaning that the Democrats control the House, the Senate, and the White House. But here's something even more interesting outside of that. Outside of that, when it comes to the first 2 years of Barack Obama's administration, he had a super majority in the Senate, which is it's just unheard of. It's unheard of. Let me read this to you very quick. The 111th United States Congress. I'm going to zoom in so we can all read this together. And it reads as such. In the November 2008 election, the Democratic Party increased its majorities in both chambers, including when factoring in the two Democratic caucusing, including when factoring in the two Democratic caucusing independents. A brief filibuster-proof 60-40 supermajority in the Senate. I repeat, Barack Obama entered his first 2 years as president of the United States with a 60-40 supermajority Senate. And with Barack Obama being sworn in as president on January 20th of 2009, this gave Democrats an overall federal government trifecta for the first time since the 103rd Congress in 1993. Barack Obama, in the first 2 years of his administration, could have done whatever he wanted. The Democrats could have done whatever they wanted, but they didn't, to a degree, right? To a degree. But I just wanted to point that out and highlight this to you, the level of control that the Democrats have had in this country over the past 12 years. They have had a stranglehold of the country over the past 12 years. Yet some way, somehow, everything's the Republicans' fault. Some way, somehow, everything's Trump's fault. And for, our favorite and my favorite vote blue, no matter who group, my people, black people, I want you to see how voting for Barack Obama on the basis of him just simply being black, how it fell flat and meant nothing. This man entered into the presidency with a completely filibuster-proof Senate. Could have done whatever he wanted and did nothing. There is nothing you can point to that came out of his presidency that you can say he did for you. Yet he ran on the back of the legacy of slavery and Jim Crow to get into office, which is the same thing that Kamala Harris is doing. Now, if you didn't get anything from Barack Obama, what do you think you're going to get from a biracial Indian woman who's cosplaying as a black woman? I'll let that sit on your mind for a moment. And while that's sitting on your mind, let's stay there with Kamala Harris, because a lot of people try to downplay her role as vice president. When we talk about the policies of Joe Biden, many people want to pretend and they want to act and pretend like she is powerless. As the vice president, what did you expect her to do? As the vice president, I think D.L. Hughley stated, it's a ceremonial position. She has no power. She's basically just a do boy or a do girl, right? Go fetch my coffee and do what the president of the United States says. But that is just simply untrue. She had tremendous influence and tremendous power as the vice president. Let's look at this right here concerning tie-breaking votes cast by Kamala Harris in the U.S. Senate. Under Article 1, Section 3, Clause 4, the U.S. Constitution, the Vice President of the United States also serves as the President of the Senate. So she's not just the Vice President. She's not just second in command to Joe Biden, but she's the President of the Senate. A lot of people don't know that. In this capacity, he or she may cast the deciding vote whenever there is a tie in the Senate. And how many times did Kamala Harris do that? How many times did she exercise her authority to cast a tie-breaking vote in the Senate as president of the Senate? Well, as we scroll down here, and yes, I will leave the link in the description box below so you can have this for yourself. She cast a tie-breaking vote 33 times. 33 times. There was a deadlock in the Senate, 50-50 split, and Kamala Harris cast a tie-breaking vote every single time. She has the most tie-breaking votes in over the last 40 plus years, between 1981 and 2023. What is that, about 42 years, something like that, if my math serves me correctly? If it doesn't, please forgive me, right? But over the last 40 plus years, she had 33 tie-breaking votes to Mike Pence's 13. She outnumbers his tie-breaking votes by leaps and bounds. But they're selling you on a lie that she was powerless. The Democrats are selling you on a lie that they are powerless. Everyone's selling you on this lie that the country is somehow in the state that it is because of Donald Trump, despite the fact that over the last 16 years, 12 of those years were controlled by Democrats. And they had immense power and chose to do God knows what with it. Well, we know what they did during this administration, the Biden-Harris administration. They completely wrecked the economy and intentionally created a migrant crisis. So now you got to ask yourself, do you want this to continue on? Do you really want the president of the Senate to become president of the United States? Well, that depends on you and not somebody else this November. So with all that being said, that does it for today's news. I want to thank you all for joining me today. Please hit the like button on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you're new to the channel. Share this video on your social media platforms to your family and friends. And also don't forget to follow me on Telegram and Rumble. Both the Telegram and Rumble link will be in the description box below, as well as pinned in the comment section as well. Please follow me at those two places, Telegram and Rumble. That is extremely important. Thank you all for your time, and until the next video, peace and have a great afternoon.